Hello, everybody. This is the next episode of The Loop, courtesy of Faisal there in the corner. Is he on camera? That's Wavmina. This is a big guest. This is someone who's been in the game of music in the region and outside for literal decades, bigger than the previous, no matter what our other guests may say. This is the biggest one thus far. Mazen Maskati, it is lovely to meet you after a long time.
Pleasure having you. Nice to see you too.
Thank you very much. This is Mazen's actual sort of lair. This is what I guess where a lot of maybe where a lot of the ideas were hatched.
Yes, indeed. I mean, a lot of influence in here, a lot of big names that been in here and played in here.
No way.
Yes, of course.
Cool.
So over the years, it's hosted a few people. Yeah.
Okay, we'll get right on to that. You started, well, when?
Well, journey started really a young age. So
Okay.
I was one of these weird kids. So I was into soul music like James Brown, Barry White stuff early then. And then around the 80s, accidentally discovered a group called Kraftwerk.
No way.
Yes, it was during the Eid. I was maybe around 12 or so. Back then, like you get the Eid money and you go shopping in the Manama and that was at Yatim Center, and there's a cassette shop, and they had a cassette with Kraftwerk on it,
Okay.
and I thought they look interesting because they look like mannequins,
Yeah.
and I was like, let me take that. That looks good.
Can I take a guess? Was it Man Machine?
Yes, indeed. Yeah. And I was like, put it on, and I was like, wow, what is this? Like really like a very electronic kind of sound. So from there, I start to understand there is other type of music that is electronically done, edited, and put together, than having an actual band and having an actual, it could be a one-man show from there.
Yeah.
Then I got to the States, and in the late 80s, then 90s, then I got introduced to first the rave scene in Florida.
Was this college years?
Yes, and then from that we went to more into the club industry kind of thing, and got introduced to Chicago house, New York house, and of course Detroit. And since then, these are been the base of even me playing. I mean, you will see me in one set will bust a lot of soul, and then go to disco, then go to house, and end up at techno sometimes. Detroit kind of thing. But it all has to make sense why you do it. So it does not really look like you just slapping records on. But it's quite interesting because each of this has its own elements, and that elements you bring to the dance floor to create the vibe that carries on the night. And now you can tell if somebody's been playing for a long time or not been playing for a long time, based on what they play, what they sample, that sort of things. That it when experience come on board of the whole craft.
Right. So you would play to, or you would supply acts for an experienced crowd?
Yes, of course, and we will book also experienced artists that they can deliver something more than just music. It's a whole experience. How they structure their set, how they play it, how they read the room. All these are very important elements to create a successful set or a successful night, that people talk about the experience and remember it.
Okay. So, I mean, if you were going to name check a bunch of venues around the world to sort of explain to people your scene, who and where would you sort of check, name check?
Well, we start with the major cities like London, for example. You know, they got Fabric, they got Coco, they got Printworks. Talk about Berlin, they got Berghain's, Panorama Bar, Berghain's. They got Watergate. Talk about Paris, they have the Rex, which is I think the Rex has been gone for 35 years. You know, all these considered as such a landmark
Yeah.
of the industry where artists are born, artists become famous, and the scene is created and memory is created.
So what sets these artists apart? What sets these venues apart? What is it about your scene?
Well, you know,
To explain to newcomers, what would it be?
I mean, the club it's where the friends get together.
Yeah.
And they spend time together and they go together, they have a great time, they create memories. Yeah. And the club becomes a part of the scene because they keep on bringing individual artists that they are express themselves into the club and then create more memories. Oh, remember when I saw this? Remember, oh, what was that? I heard this track when so and so played it for the first time. And that sort of memory carry on, and then from that you create classic tracks. You know, they always become like an anthems of house or anthem of techno, so on. But there's the industry has two things now. There is a festival culture, and there is a club culture, and these are fighting with each other.
Yes.
You know, and the festival culture is becoming bigger because they can afford bringing more artists, paying them more because it's much bigger.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the music, it becomes only in one direction. It's like hard music because, like, if you have, yeah, it's not EDM, but it has to be like anybody that could come in and there's 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, 40,000 people. Yeah. You cannot play. You have to play hard to move that crowd. And the opposite in the club is where the artists shine because you have to create this from a warm up to a peak. Yeah. That really takes a lot of art to get people engaged with you for hours in a small environment than in a big environment.
Excellent. That was that. I mean, that's the kind of thing I wanted to talk about. The difference between you and say a festival. The difference between your scene and say something like EDM. I mean, it's an older crowd. It's a more sophisticated crowd, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it depends also who you book in these. You know, like, I mean, I've been to festival where they book Grace Jones.
Oh, that'd be so good.
Somebody like, oh, okay, I want to see what Grace Jones is like. Yeah. You know, you get to festival, they book in Tiesto or something like that. It's a completely different crowd, different genre, younger, more mature. So, I think. I try to do a little bit of both, you know, bring younger and mature people together and see what happens, you know.
Oh, okay. All right. When did you start, like, professionally? When did you first start sort of, I don't know, DJing, sort of taking bookings, and when did you start your event agency? When did you start doing all that?
Event agency, we started around... we started doing events in Bahrain, for example, in 2000. Before that, doing events in the US during the 90s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And in 2000, I moved back to Bahrain, and lucky for me to have run into Kareem McNas, which he's already started Liquid, and which is an iconic.
Oh, do I remember?
Yes, an iconic club that Bahrain probably for me is the only club that Bahrain ever seen, and we share a lot similarity in terms of taste of music, in terms of artists, and Kareem was booking a lot of the big names. Even before Lebanon, before Dubai, before anybody in the region, you know, so it's happening here, and it was happening at 2000.
So
You
what
know.
was your agency's name? What was
I started with with a name called Analog Soul.
Analog Soul? I
Yeah.
remember Analog Soul.
Yes. And then in 2005, 2005, Mindset got born, and it was a collaboration with a friend of mine in Germany. But
Okay.
we do different kind of events, more corporate events in Dubai and stuff like that. But then I started Mindset Media Bahrain,
Yeah.
and we started doing events like the Bahrain Music Conference,
Yes.
BMC, and we have done 2 versions of it. And we had a lot of different artists, like we had about 83, 85 artists on it,
Wow.
7 venues, 13 events or something like that. So it was really interesting, and it was something that to shine a light on different part of this is just not a party trying to people look at it as an industry
Yeah.
where people get employed, people get make money, pay salary, that sort of stuff.
A career.
And yes, exactly. And they try for also how to manage a venue,
Yeah.
you know, how to start a record label for an artist, how to ask for a sponsorship. What is the sponsor is looking for? What you have to give the sponsor back, and what the sponsor has to give you back. You know, all these part of how this industry works worldwide.
Okay.
So I think Bahrain needs a little bit more of that. We try to do our best and try to create as many workshops, especially with the artists that we book.
Yeah.
You know, and if we have somebody really special, then we do a workshop with. But it's something that it needs to be more looked at as an industry. Like Saudi has opened up
Yeah. That happened very quickly,
very
and
fast.
they grabbed all the right people, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, it's also things like that is how can I say it has its positive side and it has its negative side. You know, evolution is it taught us different stages that we get where we are. Like for
Yeah.
example, if we are a baby or an infant, we will crawl first, we walk, then we run. Saudi hit the ground running. You know, they're very fast.
Yeah, with a great
But-
big festival.
But it's interesting to see because they got everybody involved in the scene. That people who've been around for a long time also doing underground scene in Saudi. The the population is young in Saudi. They're very hungry, very open-minded to it. Which Saudi do something very unique called the XP, which is a music conference as well.
Yeah.
I attended the first year, which I found it very, very interesting, much better than the big events.
Right.
Because it's more organic.
Organic how?
Organic, like it's smaller crowd, people are into the music,
Oh, that's clever.
you know, and people eager to learn about different style of music and so on. As the big events is massive events like Middle Beast, I think they attract something like 200,000 per day.
Yeah.
You know, so out of these 200,000, I'll probably say there are 5,000, 10,000. They're into the music. The rest are there because there's a big event happening and they
Yeah.
have to go see. Which again, the XP is more of a club culture again than versus the festival culture.
All right. What's the difference between the Saudi government's role in building their scene and the Bahraini government's role in what's Bahrain's government's attitude towards the dance music scene in Bahrain? There must be differences.
Yes, of course, there is differences. I think the reason why Saudi is progressing very fast because they have the right people involved in that project.
Okay.
I remember it was one of the workshop and the number 2 at the Ministry of Tourism or so in Saudi, a princess, was talking about the industry. She was using the right terminology, talking
Okay.
about the scene, talking about production, talking about bass line, talking about,
Wow.
she knows what she was talking about when it comes to this electronic music world,
Mm.
if you want to tell it. I think Bahrain is, they don't have that yet.
Okay.
You know, I think this is what they need to get people who are experienced enough. Like for example, you take London, you take Amsterdam, you take New York, all these big cities. They have something called the nightlife mayor. So it's a proper position. It comes
I
with
didn't know anything about a
yes,
nightlife mayor.
yes. It's really interesting because this
I'm going to have to study this all on my own after
he,
this interview. A
because
nightlife
this
mayor?
yeah this they regulate the nightlife.
You're kidding.
Yeah, they regulate the nightlife, they regulate the club life, they regulate the events life, they regulate what is the sound dB
Mm.
in the club, how much sound you should be allowed in the DJ booth because these DJs work there. They cannot damage their ear because they work in every day.
Otherwise,
Uh,
they're deaf after 10 years of it. Yeah.
yes, copyrights, all sorts of things to regulate the nightlife, which wages paid, how much is the minimum, how much is the stuff like that. So all of this is really important to create a healthy scene, to create a scene that is able to grow.
Yeah.
And without having that, you'll end up having just mistrial. This works, this doesn't work. Oh, let's go back to the first one. Oh, let's cut let's have a 24-hour license. No, let's cut it back again to 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock. It's very
Mm.
up and down. And you have many other things. And Bahrain is a very small scene,
Yeah.
so you have things are not regulated. There are people doing events without a license.
Yes.
Yes, and there are people who doing events with license, which is not fair on them because they have fixed cost. They have offices, they have employees, they have rent, they have electricity, website. The others don't.
Yeah.
So I think regulating that is really, really important. Uh, Making sure you go through the right, proper channel. If I'm going to book a DJ, that I have to go through ministry, the tourism authority. I have to get a permit. Then I got to take it to immigration to get him an artist visa, and make sure they also, as an artist, come in without any problem. Imagine you stop at the airport without a visa, they don't let you in, and that gives negative feedback about the country. So all of this, it needs to be really thought of, really well planned, because it's, in the end of the day, it's an industry. A lot of people involved in it.
Yeah.
A lot of people get paid from it, make money from it, and
Mm.
then this will rotate back into the economy of the country.
Yeah. I mean, how has Adana Amphitheatre affected the scene in Bahrain?
The I think the Dana, it's a great project for Bahrain because
Yeah.
bringing really, really big names
Mm.
in the industry. And that's really nice for people to see. We were not able to see people like Kevin Hart or any of the big acts they brought, which is something really refreshing.
Okay. Aside from amphitheatres and huge festivals in Saudi, I'm going to consider things as a whole. What sets you and Analog Soul and now Mindset? What has set you apart for all this time?
We stay true to what we really all about. We're about good quality music. We haven't sold out at any stage. We stuck to house and techno. We don't do subgenres,
Right.
and we are truly believer that there's this and that, and that's what we've been promoting. We're promoting really a good scene, a healthy scene. We work with a lot of locals artists. We work with a lot of regional artists, and we work with international artists. And we focus on brands, like bringing big brands to Bahrain, like Boiler Room, Cocoon Showcase. There are other events lined up for
Boiler
this
Room.
year. Boiler Room,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's also putting us on the map on the international scene. Like we some of the artists we book, they're playing in the biggest venue as they put their tour on social media. It will be like so and so at Space Miami, then it's a propaganda Bahrain, you know.
Nice.
So people could see, people ask, you can see in the feed, they ask, where is this propaganda and stuff like that, and the artist will reply, it's in Bahrain, it's in this place. So it's really nice to see that. It's really nice to see other promoters, other like a lot of major booking agencies contact you, say, hey, we like what you do. We normally don't like propaganda, for example, is a very small event with big bookings. So
Yeah.
we book the DJ's DJ in the end of the day.
Understood.
So that's what we are. And these guys, they used to play in big venues, big clubs, and we bring them for a small venue, 180, 200, very intimate, but good sound system, good vibe, like a really strong vibe. People are very energetic on the floor. They as much as they receive, they give back, project back, which is something really, really nice. Most of the people that we book, they are very impressed by the event. They write about it, they talk about it to other people. And the idea to create an event that you could walk into it, and it could be anywhere else in the world. Like it could be in London, it could be in Berlin, it could be anywhere. So the music is right, the vibe is right, the production is right. So that those elements come together and create a really good experience.
Right. Are the venues supportive in Bahrain?
Some, yeah, some are.
Yeah?
Yeah, some are.
So you have your favorite places, and they know the score, they know what to do,
Yes.
they know how to make a good night.
Yeah, I
Good.
mean, yes, of course. I mean, some venues are very, very supportive.
Yeah.
At the moment, Calexico is spearheading this.
Yeah.
So Calexico has changed also Adliya in terms of music-wise. So Adliya is becoming more electronic music. Before it was bands and other type of music, and now it's becoming really focused on that on this particular thing. It's a good thing for us, but not a good thing for the others. But it creates some sort of sometime a synergy between two venues. They work and collaborate together. And okay, if you're booking this, I'm not going to do that, and that's where what's supposed to be, like to work together and try to bring the A game in each one of us if we put it together. I think it's really, really important to work with others. We're very open, like mindset, to work with a lot. We work with a lot of people, whether locals, artists, or regional.
Let's talk more about the local talent then. Let's start with local promoters. How are they doing? What's your take on that side of the business?
I think it needs a lot of work because you have promoters are doing events for the sake of doing just an event.
Yeah.
And you have promoters are doing an event to create a scene or to build a profile or so. The only that's the difference. If you want to do an event for the sake of doing an event, that's easy.
Yeah.
If you want to put together an event that is good for your portfolio as well, say, hey, this is my portfolio. This is what we did. This is what we did. This is what we did. This is international. This is international. Not just any international. It's people who are respected into this particular scene. And nobody could say anything then. The most respected. Like the artists we bring, they are the DJs, like I said. So they are not the top names, but they are in the record bag of the top names.
Yeah.
You know.
They occupy a niche, don't they? There's a sort of boutique niche for people who know the score. They want the DJ's DJ, the band's band.
Yeah.
And there are certain DJs who are seeking the audience's audience.
Yeah,
So,
because those big DJs, they will be playing tracks that everybody knows and everybody could react to, and the ones we book, they don't have that pressure.
yeah.
So their artistic part will come out. They will put together and struck together a set that is very well diverse.
Yeah.
You know, they could go deep, they could go up, they could go down, and could go disco to house to techno and so on to create that particular atmosphere and vibe.
One of the things I always remember, you know, we'd see each other in Liquid, and those were the days when I went out, basically. I'd be there like 3 or 4 nights a week, and I'd go and see the acts there, and I'd hear stuff I hadn't heard before.
Yeah.
Lots of it, lots of music I hadn't heard before. And I'd go and look for it and try and find out who it was. Sometimes I was successful, sometimes I was not.
Yeah.
But it was just always, it was always a bit of a mystery tour. It was always a bit of a journey, sort of listening to all this stuff and how this DJ would put it together.
Yeah.
You know, the way it was and the way his set was structured. You could hear it if you were a committed listener. And I think Liquid was full of proper listeners.
Yes.
You know, we some of us would learn what DJing was from those guys in there. You know, how a set went.
I mean, I think before Liquid,
You don't get that from the big guys so much.
Yeah, no, because these guys, because it's a club, a club
Yeah.
environment.
You're not playing to
more
15-year-olds in a club, I think.
Exactly. So when you look at these artists, like for example, before Liquid,
Yeah.
most of the places in Bahrain, they had this thing going on, and this song is by so and so, and then there is no mixing, no flow, you know, one dance song, one slow song.
Here's a slow song for all the ladies out
yes,
there.
exactly. Nobody has seen a DJ that put a set together, like a couple of hours or 4 hours. Like it's like we had some really good artists in Propaganda, for example, DJ Wild or John Aquaviva or Gregory or many of these some of them played like 5 hours, 7 hours set. Andre Galusi played 7 hours set, and you
You're
see
killing
people,
them,
yes, people keeping people in the dance floor for 5-7 hours. That takes a lot of skills.
Yeah.
You know, and to keep them engaged and not bored. So it's really, really interesting for people to see guys like that. It's very hard to take them off the decks because they really enjoy what they do. They don't come with the 20 records that they want to pay, or 20 track or 40 tracks. And when they finish, they go, are you going to come in or you're not going to come in? They don't have that. They just, if you let them play, they will play till tomorrow.
Wow.
You know?
Okay. Are there Bahraini DJs out there hitting the spot? Are they sort of reaching the heights?
Yes, of course. Yeah, they are.
Okay.
They are Delamar, Khalid Delami, Ahmed Hamid, Zayed,
Okay.
Sami D. There are a lot of really cool DJs. They can play.
Who should I be interviewing next out of those boys?
I think Sami D could be like a really good prospect. He's been around for a long time, and he is a real deal. He's a really good artist, a good DJ.
Good. We had Fawaz on the podcast.
And Fawaz,
Yeah.
Also one of the first people here, one of the pillars of starting electronic music in Bahrain.
Yeah, very much so, very much so. That was an interesting interview. You know, it's nice. What we're trying to do is to get on people who are interested in the subject, yes, but also people who can give us the inside information. We're learning a lot from you, in this one. It's going well.
It's
So the Bahrainis are good. They're out there. They're showing their talent.
Yeah, they shown talent. I mean,
Yeah.
it's part of this experience. You have to be playing some other places than Bahrain, playing in other venues, well-known venues. Like for me, it was something like live the scene. I mean, I've been living the scene for 35 years.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about working in events, at doors, working at bars, working at behind the back office of a club.
Yeah.
Understand doing booking, doing artist booking, dealing with agencies, and that just what makes people understand the scene more than anything else. And then not just I've seen people play in this club somewhere in London or somewhere, then I'm gonna come back here. I'm gonna do the same. So it doesn't really work that way,
Yeah.
But it takes, you gotta live it.
Okay. I've got two questions for you. I mean, the first one's one I ask anybody. The second one I'm going to ask only you. The first question is, what would you say to people starting out in either DJing or promoting, just their way into the scene? What would you say to them? Second question is, what would you say? What should Bahrain be doing? How should Bahrain position itself in the world market, the entertainment market?
Well, for the first part, I think artists should, whatever they want to do, they should learn its history, where it come from, why did it become what it is.
Okay.
Okay, learn the roots of it, then learn the artist who's doing it, then learn the record labels are put out all this music throughout these years, which record label, why people want to produce on that record label, and then bring all that to project you on top of it. So you have to put your touch on top of everything else and become with your own style of music. Also taking part of that, but your own way.
Okay.
Now you can only teach people how to beat match.
Yeah.
Okay, that's because that's technical. This is faster, this slower, slow this one down, speed that up, and then you get it. But if you don't have a flow, there's a problem. If you don't know which track comes after which track, it's a problem. If you don't read the room really well, it's a problem, because a DJ's job is to make people dance. Yeah. Okay, it's not about you. It's about how you make and how you captivate the dance floor and how you keep it going the whole night. So these are important parts where young people need to understand. It's not just mixing. Nowadays, you don't even need to beat match. You just push sync and you play, or you choose. A lot of artists choose their keys. Each key, like this track is an A key and this is an A key. Then they sound good together because the keys are already known. Before, we don't have that. Your E is the key.
Yeah.
So you have to listen. You have to make sure which one is faster, which one is not. I can mix it in here because it sounds good right here. So I got to do it right now. It takes. I mean, it's people. Like I said. I mean, technology is good for the industry also. But it's also it makes things diluted.
Yeah.
Like, for example, nowadays it's easier to produce a track.
Yes.
Of course. So if you know your Pro Tools, you know your software really well, within half an hour you can put a record together.
Your Ableton, your GarageBand, even.
Yes. Yeah. And back in the days, they work in big mixers and they all night, and then they have to turn the electricity off. Yep. And all the faders come back, so they have to put a tape to see where they were back then. But it took a longer for the track to circle around the clubs and the scene.
Yeah.
So nowadays you have new tracks coming out every day. So there's no room. You want to continue with the track, but there's no room to play. Like we brought a DJ here, like the Jules from Paris, and his record bag was only tracks from the 90s.
Yeah.
They played records only from the 90s, and people were like, wow, what's this music? This sounds really good.
Yeah.
And it was just a 90s record,
Wow.
you know? But it's really important to industry is fast, is really, really fast.
But that's the thing about a lot of house music. I think the crowds, the audience is more. I don't know. I mean, if EDM is sort of junk food, house is like going to a restaurant. There's more. There are more flavors in the music, I think, and also there's more commitment from the people who go. There's more commitment from the
Since
audience.
you mentioned that, because I really have this theory about music and food.
Okay,
You
let's
know?
hear it.
You know, like when you're a kid,
Yeah.
you eat at home.
Yeah.
Then you grow a bit, you become like a teenager or before teenager, and then you start hitting the fast food, right? And then you go to college or so, then you get to go to, like when I was in college, I started to go to like Bennigan's and Chili's and all this stuff, you know, like chain restaurants. And then you get older, like, oh, let me go find like really Michelin star chef or so.
Yeah.
And then you get a little bit older, then it's like, oh, let me find, oh, this place, it's a family owned. The guy and his wife, they cook amazing food. I'm gonna go there. So it's like a circle.
Yes.
So you start at home, and then you end up at home, and that's what house music for me anyway. Like house music is so vast. It has all elements: disco, soul. It has electronic. So it's a lot of it in one thing, and it's very important to relate to some of the samples, because especially for old people, for like me, like I know this sample has been taken from Chic, this sample has been taken from this band in the disco,
Yeah.
you know, and I recognize it and I see it,
Yeah, me
I
too.
hear it, I mean, and it's interesting to see in which content the producer put it in.
Yes.
It makes it really interesting, you know, because it has history.
That bar, that guitar, that drum break.
Exactly, that kick, that roll, and even for techno. I mean, techno is a very also, it's massive, you know, and it started by 3-4 guys in Detroit. They thought, oh, they didn't like the music what's being playing on, so let's make our own music, and how it took off, and how UK played a big deal in making this music so globally, because they were booking all these guys from across to the state, and Hacienda and Back to Basic, and then went to Paris, and then it just became
It was
global.
massive for the
Global.
UK. I watched it change,
Yeah.
and it was huge. Everybody who could afford a computer, basically,
Yeah.
and was into music, was doing it. I mean, we took house from the States and we threw it back at the world in 100 different variations.
Sure,
That was a great time for us.
Yeah, of course.
Music became our third biggest export.
Yeah. The UKs are great in marketing.
Yeah.
They're one of the best people that do marketing. So they took the sound from the US, from Chicago, from New York, and from Detroit, and they brought it to a specific venues in the UK, whether it's Hacienda or Back to Basic in Leeds, and then Ministry of Sound opened, and you know was such a like a super club, if you want to call it, and then the idea of super clubs start to pop in Ibiza and all these other places. Yeah, Cream. Yeah, you know. So UK has also a lot to do with the scene.
Defected Records.
Defected. I mean, Defected still so big. Defected
Really?
have become bigger than they used to.
Oh.
Yes, of course.
I didn't know.
They're doing Defected festivals. They're doing, you know, and Defected has two different types. They have a little bit on the commercial side, but they have really cool underground stuff, and it's quite interesting to see Defected is a very good brand because it has a little bit of both.
Yeah.
You know, it has some stuff is very commercial, but it also has some stuff is very also underground.
I'm trying to think of things we haven't talked about. You have You have a couple of cousins, don't you, that are sort of making a lot of noise out and about there in the world.
Yes,
Can
I
we
have.
talk about those?
I have my nephew, Majid Al Maskati. He's based in Toronto.
Yeah. Canada.
Yeah, Canada. Yeah, and
That's Majid Jordan.
and that's Majid Jordan. It's a duo. It's a one Majid, of course, and the other guy is Jordan.
What's his name? His full name? The
Uh,
other guy.
I don't know really. I don't
Oh,
know.
okay.
But
Okay.
but Majid Jordan, so they put them together.
Yeah.
It sounds like one person, but they actually two.
It's two
It's
people.
like a duo, and it's amazing. Jordan mainly does the music side of it, the production, and Majid does the songwriting. And they cover a lot. It was really interesting. I've seen him in concert in London, and I was really amazed, to see somebody that come from a very small place in Bahrain to be on the big stage, from big arenas to the late night show.
I know.
Yeah, of course, and Ellen DeGeneres show. And
Yeah.
to be on those major show as a guy from Bahrain. Very proud of him.
I remember
know,
him.
yeah.
I knew him when he was younger. We didn't know each other well,
Yeah.
but we knew of each other and
Yeah.
we talked a couple of times. He was always an interesting guy.
Yes, he's a character.
Yeah.
He's a character. He's
I'm not
very
s-
talented. He's very good in songwriting. He sings really well.
Yeah.
So to be making it to that level, I think there are certain elements they need to be working together in the same time.
Yeah.
You have to be, of course, talented. You have to be at the right time at the right place. You have to know the right people, etc., etc. So all these elements, sometimes they just come together at one point, and there you go.
Yeah.
The door will open and it becomes something like you won't, we did not see that coming.
You didn't see Majid coming.
No,
Okay.
because Majid wanted to study music, and the family goes, no, you have to study this, and but from the singing in the streets of Toronto to
Wow.
becoming a big part of Drake record label, so
I
very,
prefer his stuff to Drake's. It sounds cleaner. I prefer the production.
Yeah, I think I think their sound is between, still has that soul R&B ish,
Yeah.
but is still electronic. So because there's a little bit of both,
Yeah.
and it's appealing for a lot of people. Like when we went to see them singing live in London, there were all sorts of people, white, dark, yellow. Everybody singing the song, know the words. It was really mesmerizing for me. I really enjoy that.
What about your namesake? There's another Mazen Maskati, isn't there?
Yes, there's Mazen Maskati's. They Dar Disco. They're in London. They also do DJs. So they play a little bit of a mixture between disco and Arabic disco,
No way.
which is really interesting sound. And they play in big festivals and venues in London, and they were on DJ's Mag, cover of DJ Mag, I think, at some point. But they are also very interesting, very talented. Look, there is talent here. It just need to be exposed to the right channels to be able to grow and foster that career.
Been saying this forever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you need to polish those skills,
Yeah.
because it's not, if you take it as a profession, that's what you really need to do.
Yeah. Get hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get
I
hungry.
mean, it's again, you have to make sure that you have contact outside of our little island, because
Oh, okay.
that really helps, because you really and look, I've seen it before many times at record labels. People send their demo, and then people say, oh, so and so from London, cool, so and so Chicago, so and so Bahrain. They don't know
Oh.
where that is. Of course, that's exactly what happens, you know.
Still?
Yes, of course. I mean,
Oh.
we also face, like, when we book an artist
Yeah.
and say, I'm going to book you to come to play in Bahrain, and he has another booking in New York or somewhere, or LA, and
Or Dubai.
or Dubai, you know, like, no, I can't make it, you know.
Yeah.
We'll have to look at another day.
Or
But
he'll say Dubai. Oh, that's next to Dubai, isn't it?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
I
mean-
want this much.
yes, that's a really good point too.
Yeah.
You know, like, artists now that come into the region, they're asking for a lot of money, like really a ridiculous amount, because it's being paid in Dubai, it's being paid in Saudi, and when you come to Bahrain, we don't have that.
Yeah.
You know, neither we have the people that enough numbers to walk through the door, or to have, there is almost I would say there is no sponsorship
Yeah.
here. You know, and it's just for the promoter has to take the entire risk of putting the event, putting the money, and waiting at the doors, like, oh, the people didn't show up yet, people didn't
Okay.
come yet. You know.
Right.
You know, so it's a very that's challenging too.
It's a big challenge.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What haven't we talked about?
And we covered a lot actually.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, just I think we need to really push good music out there. You
Yeah.
know, really we need to push. It's the radio's also responsibilities to push more music. Maybe, like, you know, I think like BBC, like for example BBC Radio 6, BBC
Yeah.
6 is very unique on which artists they put and which artists they interview, which artists they do an episode on, and so on. It's quite interesting because that gives people the opportunity to learn about other artists that they haven't learned about or know, and they will discover that their music has a lot more quality
Yes.
and more substance in it than the normal top 40 or top 100, you know.
We need another radio channel.
Yeah, I think it's possible because, I mean, it doesn't take a lot, because you know, you just have to get people involved that they know music, they know, like, you know, like again, BBC 6 is a very great example. Like, they got Gil Patterson,
Uh-huh.
and I think he is very knowledgeable about music. Music collection is so crazy, like really crazy music collection, that he'd been collecting music for a long time.
Wow.
And it's interesting that to play music that from 80s or 70s and it still sounds of today. And like here, I have a lot of records. They're old. I just pitch them down or pitch them up, or you
Yeah.
know, and it becomes a whole new record.
Yeah.
You know. So also the art of buying music.
Uh-huh.
Okay, the art of buying music is very important, to buy a record that you know you're gonna play for a long time. Because records are more expensive than MP3. Like, you know, you're paying 10, 15 pound, 20 pounds, sometimes 30 pound per record. You want to make sure that you can use this for a long time, and productions and all these elements that need to be part of our culture. You know, now I see people are pushing. It's very interesting because since we mentioned Majid name and so on, I see people pushing their kids to do more art, more singing, more. You know, before you don't see that.
No.
Like
no.
people, if I tell people, a family, like a DJ, I'm like, oh man, this guy is your brother is this and the brother is that, and you know. So it wasn't acceptable, socially acceptable, if you want to call it.
Yeah.
But now it's becoming kind of a norm. The second generation came about and tried to push their kids to do things that they were not able to do at them growing up. But it's a really interesting time, interesting period, because diversity is all around. Bahrain is well diverse, as you can tell Bahrain probably is the only country in its region that is very, very diverse because
Yeah.
you have mixed marriages of all kind and really, really interesting. And I think that's something that needed to be promoted about Bahrain.
Yeah.
You know, it's because you see in one group you will see English people, French people, Bahrainis, and you know all sorts of that you cannot find.
Dubai is not like that.
No, Dubai is although a multicultural,
Yeah.
but the British with the British, the French with the French,
Yeah.
and you know, and
It's
if
all
you're
siloed.
yeah, and if you're from Bahrain and you go out and you're like you start talking to people and the people are like, oh, what, who's this guy?
Who
Why
is this
somebody
person?
talking to us? This
Yeah.
guy, you know. But it's Bahrain has something really unique, and I think the uniqueness about Bahrain is its people, and this is what really need to be promoted. I think again, regulating nightlife is very crucial because we have something very unique that no one has. Is Adliya Quarter.
Yeah.
That
338, you mean?
338. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, you don't have that anywhere else in the Gulf.
Yeah.
Where a nightlife is buzzing. This needs to be promoted on a large scale.
Yeah.
And I know people will go there, but we need to promote it because that's an asset that Bahrain has that no one else has.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's been a long talk and it's been a good one. Thank you, Mazen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it.
That was another episode of The Loop. You can find us on social media all over the place. And when you see a button, subscribe.